Back and let's go ahead and go through case study number 3. In this case, we're talking about hemophilia. Hemophilia is a genetic disorder caused by missing blood clotting proteins. People with hemophilia often bleed longer than others. It can occur internally into joints and muscles or externally from minor cuts. According to the U.S. Center for Disease Control, about 1 out of every 5,000 live births, so about 20,000 people in the U.S. have hemophilia. One really important thing to pay attention to in this case study is that the X's and the Y chromosomes are involved here. So these are the sex chromosomes. If you have not been learned about those yet, it's important to take just a minute and make sure you understand this paragraph here. The gene for hemophilia is carried on the X chromosome, is not carried on the Y chromosome, and that's an important difference that impacts how it gets passed on. Hemophilia, therefore, is called an X-linked recessive disorder. Females that inherit 2 X chromosomes, obviously they inherit one from mom and one from dad, so they are XX. Males, on the other hand, inherit 1 X chromosome, and that one will obviously come from mom, but they also inherit a Y chromosome from their dad. Okay, so as we think about dads passing on traits to offspring, if the dad passes on an X, and the mom passes on an X, because that's the only thing the mom can pass on, then the offspring will be a female. But if the dad passes on a Y and it joins with the X from mom, then you'll have an XY, and the offspring will be a male. Okay? So males inherit an X chromosome. If males inherit an X chromosome from their mother that carries the hemophilia gene, then he will have hemophilia. Okay? It also means that fathers cannot pass the hemophilia trait on to sons. They can pass it to daughters, but not to sons. Okay? All right, because daughters have 2 X chromosomes, even if they do inherit hemophilia from their mother, who most likely they will inherit a healthy X chromosome from their father, or vice versa, I suppose. But in any case, females would only express hemophilia if they got one from both parents. And that's fairly unlikely considering that is not that common. Okay. All right, so females can be a carrier for hemophilia, but notable that males cannot be a carrier for hemophilia. So as we look at the genotypes here, again, it's important to recognize that we include the H's and the X's and the Y's along with the H's when we're talking about hemophilia. Okay, so to note the genotypes, a superscript is used. So a female carrier will have the genotype X big H, X little h. And using the letters X and Y, the genotype for other people. So here, person 1 does not have hemophilia. She is female, and so we can assume that she must have at least 1 big H for being normal. But notice that she has a offspring that does have hemophilia, so she also must be a carrier for hemophilia. So we know that person 1's genotype is X big H, X little h. Okay? Person 2 has hemophilia. He's a male, so we know that he must have an X little h in this case because shows hemophilia. And then remember that a male has a Y for their second letter here. So it's X little h, Y is person 2's genotype. And then finally, this male here, person 3, does not have hemophilia. So they must have gotten that big H from, well, either one of their parents. But in this case, it would have come from mom. So X big H, Y is the genotype for person 3. Okay? So the question then is, if you have the gene for hemophilia, will you always have hemophilia? And the case is not really. If you're a male, the answer is yes. If you're a female, the answer is no. Right? Because males will always express it if they have it, because they have nothing to cover up. They don't have a second X to cover that first, whatever is on the first X. So on the other hand, females with an affected allele could absolutely have a normal allele to cover that up. So that leads us to our Punnett square. Person 3 has a second child, a daughter. Complete the Punnett square to determine the chance that this child will have hemophilia. Okay? So as we said, person 3 is an X big H Y. So that's person 3 here, has another child. And in this case, the mother is a carrier. So it has 1 allele for hemophilia and 1 allele for not having hemophilia. for hemophilia, for not having hemophilia. I said that the wrong direction. In any case, X big H goes into this box. Okay? X big H, X little h goes into the box below that. Over here on the right side, we have X big HY and X little hy. Okay? If the offspring is a female, we can limit it to these two individuals, and we know that there's a 50% chance of a daughter having hemophilia. If it was a male, we'd also have a 50% chance of that male having. Oops, let me back up. I just was jumping ahead of myself and thinking of the wrong percentage here. Okay. All right, so if the offspring is a daughter, there is a 0% chance of having hemophilia because that X chromosome will mask the gene. Okay. If the offspring is a male, there is a 50% chance of a male offspring having hemophilia. Okay. If we don't determine by male versus female, only one of the 4 boxes has somebody that has hemophilia. So it would be a 25% chance overall, 0% chance of female, 50% chance of male. Okay. So in conclusion, why does DMD affect mostly boys? We know that it's because there is only one X allele. Therefore, if they inherit the allele, it gets expressed. Whereas in females, because they have 2 X's, they have twice the chance of masking it with a normal trait. All right, hope that helps. Good luck on your genetics tests upcoming in the future. I forget if it's next week or depends on when you watch this video, actually. In any case, good luck on your genetics. Let us know if you have any questions.